Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're not tracking some slow-moving regulation. Nope, we're jumping right into, well, a pretty high-stakes political and legal drama.
It's quite the setup.
Yeah, on one side, you've got sitting U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren, arguably Congress's most powerful crypto skeptic.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other side, you have the immense financial and reputational force of CZ, the founder of Binance.
A real clash of titans, kind of.
Totally. So our mission today is pretty simple. We're giving you the shortcut. We're going to try and distill the precise legal stuff, the semantics, and pull out the critical political stakes behind this whole confrontation.
And we're pulling directly from some deep analyses here, looking at the actual legal documents, dissecting political reports from places like Punchbowl News, and checking out expert takes on defamation law.
Right. We're trying to get you up to speed fast.
Yeah. And we should jump right in because the quota facts are pretty explosive. This whole thing really kicked off when CZ's lawyer, Teresa Gillen, sent a letter. It basically threatened a defamation lawsuit if Senator Warren didn't walk back her statement that CZ had pleaded guilty to money laundering.
Whoa. Okay. And here's where it gets really interesting. Warren's response, it wasn't defensive, not apologetic at all.
Not at all.
Her lawyer, Ben Stafford, just flatly rejected the retraction. Said the statement was, quote, true in all respects and, importantly, protected by the First Amendment.
Yeah, that's a strong stance.
It really is. This isn't just some, political spat. It feels like a profound test of institutional power versus, well, massive financial power.
Definitely.
Okay, so let's dig into the core legal dispute here.
Okay.
If you really want to get why these two incredibly powerful sides are willing to risk this big public fight over, like, a single sentence,
Yeah.
you have to understand what exactly CZ pleaded guilty to and why that specific wording is the absolute sticking point.
Right. And what's fascinating here is the absolute nuance, the specific language used in the Department of Justice documents. CZ pleaded guilty back in late 2023 to failure to maintain an effective anti-money laundering program. That's under the Bank Secrecy Act, the BSA.
Okay, failure to maintain an effective anti-money laundering program. Got it.
And it's really vital to stress this. This wasn't just some regulatory fine. It was categorized clearly as a criminal violation of the BSA.
A criminal violation.
Yeah, and the BSA, that's the foundational anti-money laundering law in the United States. It's the bedrock.
Okay, but hang on. If the DOJ documents clearly use that phrase, failure to maintain an effective anti-money laundering program, isn't CZ kind of right? Isn't he right to argue that Warren's claim he pleaded guilty to money laundering is, well, technically inaccurate? Why wouldn't a judge just look at the exact words on the paper?
Well, that's sort of the brilliance or maybe the tactical genius of the move Warren's team is making. They're leaning on the political reality, the substantive reality of it. Team Warren basically argues that the failure to maintain that effective program is the crime. And since that program is required by the foundational anti-money laundering law,
Right.
then describing the violation as a money laundering charge is factually accurate in substance, in what it means, even if it's not the precise technical term used in the legal pleading.
Ah, okay. So they're essentially saying, look, you broke the main money laundering law, therefore you pleaded guilty to a money laundering crime. Semantics versus substance.
Precisely. And Warren's lawyer, Stafford, he was pretty blunt in his rebuttal letter. He stated that this conviction means, quote, there are no such things as regulatory penalties in this specific context. It was criminal, period.
Okay, strong stuff. But then on the flip side, Team CZ disputes this whole framing.
Completely. They argue he only pleaded guilty to a compliance failure, a failure of the system, and that using the term money laundering is defamatory because it implies, direct active involvement in the actual act of laundering funds.
Rather than just the company failing to stop it effectively.
Exactly. Rather than the systemic corporate failure to prevent it. There's a big difference in connotation there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for you, the listener, this small semantic difference, that's the entire battleground. Just think about the sheer weight of that difference for a second.
Mm-hmm.
For CZ, being labeled even indirectly as a money launderer potentially impacts every future bank relationship, every regulatory meeting he might have, maybe even visa applications down the line. It's like a permanent scarlet letter.
Which explains why they're fighting back so hard on this specific point.
Absolutely. It really highlights how just a tiny legal distinction, a few words, can be immediately weaponized in public discourse to fundamentally try and reshape someone's reputation.
Okay, so we've established the battlefield is this single crucial phrase. But let's talk stakes. Why would one of the world's most powerful crypto figures risk a really high-profile lawsuit over just a few words?
Right.
This moves us into the bigger picture, doesn't it? That reputation management is like the new crypto battleground.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it. We've moved past just the legal documents now and into the so what, the huge political implications. You really have to analyze the roles these two figures play.
Okay.
CZ is a titan. I mean, even though he stepped down from the CEO role, Binance still controls a massive chunk of global crypto trading volume. He and his company are just, inseparable from the industry's public image.
And Warren is like the perfect counterpoint to that, isn't she?
Yeah.
She has very carefully, very meticulously positioned herself as Congress's most persistent crypto skeptic,
Definitely.
pushing for tighter anti-money laundering,
Very safe.
know your customer regulations. She even has that bill. People often call her anti-crypto army bill. She's trying to institutionalize skepticism.
Exactly. So this feud, it isn't just about protecting Warren's right to speak her mind or CZ protecting his reputation. It's really a proxy war.
Proxy war.
For the legitimacy of the entire crypto industry in Washington, D.C., we've seen a pretty distinct shift, The years, say, 2021 through 2023, they were really defined by crypto versus regulation.
Right, culminating in huge collapses like FTX, massive fines.
Yeah, exactly. But now, maybe 2024 through 2026, it feels like the narrative is shifting to crypto versus reputation management.
That makes sense. We had the conviction of Sam Bankman-Fried in 2024, the ongoing Coinbase versus SEC case rattling through 2025. Those events created a really powerful negative public perception.
They absolutely did. And this, I think, is why the industry, or at least figures like CZ, are fighting back so aggressively now. When you fight these legal battles only in court, you kind of lose control of the public narrative.
Ah, interesting point.
But when you aggressively challenge something like defamation, you're trying to draw a hard line. You're trying to say what the public, and maybe more importantly, what Congress is allowed to say about you and your past.
So it's not just PR.
No, not at all. It's about trying to institutionalize the industry, fighting for a kind of social license to operate without facing constant public attacks based on, past compliance failures.
That brings us perfectly to the political fuel that really supercharged this whole firestorm. Because this wasn't just some random fight that popped up, was it?
No, not at all.
It was reignited by that highly controversial pardon of CZ issued by former President Trump back in 2025.
Exactly. That pardon wasn't just like a political gift to an industry figure. It immediately reframed the whole CZ story.
How so?
Well, it shifted the narrative for some people from criminal compliance failure to political target. Supporters of the pardon framed it as, pro-innovation, protecting the future of finance.
While critics, led by Warren,
immediately slammed it as being soft on financial crime. That pardon gave Warren the perfect hook, the perfect opportunity to reiterate her hard stance on crypto and financial crime.
which led directly to the statement CZ's team then challenged. Oh.
And now, think about the timing. We're heading towards the 2026 midterms. Crypto regulation is really hardening into a partisan issue.
It seems that way.
Absolutely. You see Republicans increasingly favoring, let's say, pro-innovation policies, maybe looser frameworks for things like tokenization. Democrats, though, they seem more split. You've got moderates, but then you have the anti-crypto hawks. And Warren is sort of the embodiment of that wing.
Right.
So this battle, this fight over narrative control, it's going to shape how lawmakers talk about crypto, how they legislate crypto, all through the campaign season. Warren is now seizing this moment, arguing that being seen as soft on financial crime is becoming a platform issue for some, which fuels her need to keep reiterating her hard line.
Okay, so if this is at least partly political theater, we have to talk about the legal shield protecting the senator. Could CZ actually succeed in a defamation case against a sitting U.S. senator? Sounds tough.
It's highly, highly unlikely. Warren benefits from immense constitutional protection here. We have to look at the Constitution's speech or debate clause.
The speech or debate clause. Okay, what does that actually mean? Does it mean Warren could say literally anything about CZ and face zero consequences, or are there limits?
It's massive protection, but it's not infinite. It generally covers actions directly related to her legislative duties, like giving a speech on the Senate floor, participating in a committee hearing, issuing an official report, things tied to the job. It's designed specifically to prevent the executive branch or the judicial branch from intimidating lawmakers with civil lawsuits.
So it's a huge barrier for CZ, intended to ensure robust debate, even if it's harsh.
Exactly. It's a core principle of separation of powers.
Okay, but let's say, just for argument's sake, we set aside that clause, which sounds like a constitutional nuclear deterrent anyway.
Yeah, pretty much.
CZ is obviously a public figure. That means the bar for proving defamation is incredibly high already, right?
Right.
What would he actually have to prove in court?
Yeah, the bar is extremely high. He would need to meet the standard of proving actual malice.
Actual malice, not just that the statement was wrong.
Correct. It's not enough to just prove the statement was false. To win a defamation suit against a public figure like Warren, CZ would have to show that she knowingly made a false statement or acted with reckless disregard for the truth.
Reckless disregard.
And did so with the specific intent to harm his reputation. It's a very tough standard to meet.
Can we maybe use an analogy for you, the listener, to kind of grasp that difference?
Sure. Think of it like this. If a reporter makes a mistake and reports that a company filed for bankruptcy when it didn't, that's likely an error, maybe negligence, but not necessarily malice.
Okay.
But if that same reporter looks at the company's glowing annual report, knows for a fact they're totally solvent, and then goes on air and tells millions of people the company is bankrupt, specifically because they hate the CEO and want to ruin them, that starts to look like actual malice.
That intentional disregard for the truth, knowing it's false or likely false.
Right. Warren would have to be proven to have acted with that level of intentional disregard.
And her defense seems pretty strong here, doesn't it? Because the DOJ documents do support the accuracy of her language, at least in substance. The crime was specifically failing to comply with the core anti-money laundering law.
Exactly. So even if the speech or debate clause immunity didn't somehow bar the claim entirely, the actual malice standard is incredibly protective of speech, especially political speech. And her team clearly believes her statement is factually accurate based on the substance of that underlying criminal violation. It's a tough case for CZ, legally speaking.
Okay, so let's try and unpack this core takeaway then. This whole Warren versus CZ clash, it's a really powerful demonstration, isn't it, of how the biggest names in crypto are shifting. They're moving from being maybe passive courtroom defendants to becoming active, really aggressive political actors. They're fighting back hard against negative framing, turning legal history and past compliance issues into, well, immediate high-stakes campaign fodder.
Absolutely. And I think it goes far beyond just the personalities involved here. It's really a test case, isn't it? It's a test of how much institutional power a highly regulated, multi-billion-dollar global industry can actually exert over the elected officials who are supposed to be regulating it.
That's a great point. And look, we really rely on you, our listeners, to help us keep bringing this level of analysis. If you found value in this breakdown, digging into the legal shield, the political context, the deep dive into the specific source material.
Yeah, the stuff we love doing.
Exactly. Please take just a second to engage with this deep dive. Hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, leaving a comment. It genuinely helps boost our visibility in the algorithms.
It really does. Lets the platforms know people find this useful.
And it allows us to keep creating this kind of quality, in-depth coverage on these complex topics, like this clash between politics and crypto power. Honestly, we couldn't do this without your engagement, so thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks everyone. And maybe to leave you with something to chew on, considering that Senator Warren's legal defense leans so heavily on the accuracy of those DOJ documents, but also on that immense constitutional protection afforded to her office, where does the line truly sit? Between robust, protected political speech, which we need, and intentional defamation, especially when billions of dollars and the future of major policy shifts are hanging in the balance.
It's a tough question.
It really is. This isn't just some potential court case playing out. It feels more like a profound test of institutional power in this age of digital finance.
Yeah.
Something for you to definitely consider as this whole drama continues to unfold in Washington.